Hey guys, what's up? I hope you are enjoying your summer. At the same time, you need to concentrate on your course. Let me discuss a little bit about the project and this week materials. Share the screen. Okay, so I hope you have already done the Turtle Project 1 design part, and for the next part to write the code is due on this week, I think. It is not too hard, but the problem is like the turtle thing. You need to know what is the turtle. So I believe if you are working with this week module, then you may have better understanding on the turtle things. And at the same time, I have already provided some material links here in the announcement. If you haven't seen these, you can check those the URLs to learn a little bit more. But I think I have already mentioned in the description section here that some of the examples. Okay, let me tell you what is deliverable, or what you need to do for this project. Basically, you need to design a doodle, like a Google Doodle, but there are some criteria you need to meet. One thing is like you have to use at least 3 atomic shape. So what is an atomic shape? So atomic shape is like it is a building block that you cannot break down into anything else, like the very what do you call it? Yeah, the atomic part. You can make some complex part with those atomic part. You have to have at least 3 atomic parts there, and you need to use some repetition. So until last week, you don't know how to repeat those things again and again. But if you're working with some Python loop in this week, you may have better understanding how to repeat one thing again and again. I'll go through in a minute. So basically the input of this turtle is like the windows width and height, and make sure those are positive number. Those can be validated through some validation code I have already provided as a template code. You need to use that template code and add your code on the specified location. If you are not following that instruction, then our automatic test case will not evaluate your project, and eventually will not grade manually those things, me or the grader. So you need to follow that instruction, follow the exact template, and write your code on the specified location. Okay, and the idea of this project are how you can organize your code. Maybe you can use some parameterized function as a building block, and loops, whatever there is a repeated code with the variation. So it's up to you. You need to design your own doodle, but it should have at least 3 atomic what do you call shape or pattern, whatever it is. So here I have provided 2 examples. One of them is like this one. It is like a project from UCSB. So there are a lot of drawing. You can see some drawing from here, get some ideas how to draw. And then this is the Python turtle library. You can get more idea about how it works. What is the turtle, how it turn, rotate, whatever the functionality they are providing. So you can check those things and some sample code here to move your turtle if you'd like to. But the key idea is like you have to have at least 3 atomic part and some repetition. Okay, let me go to the project description again. Well, the starter code is that one, the template one. You need to use that starter code, and use your own code on the specified location. For this project, the rubrics is divided by two parts. One is the automatic testing, and another is like manual testing. That means we will be testing those things manually. So after you submit your project, you will get some point within 29. Then another 51 points need to be graded manually. So you need to wait for some days. Either me or grader will grade those things manually. So for the manual case, you need to use those validation, and some snake case and the style checker will be there as well as the project one automatic testing. For the manual testing, we will check that your scene include at least 3 different shape, and you need to use some colors and borders, like fill color and border color in different location for those atomic shapes. It should be tilted or rotated, whatever you prefer. An atomic shape appears in different sizes, not the same size. Loops are used to reduce and repeated code, so we'll be using loops. So you may use, maybe you can write the same code again and again to rotate or repeat, but this is not the right case for this project. You need to use loop to repeat your code again and again. That means maybe you need to repeat the same thing 5 times. You can write the same code in 5 lines. That may work, but you'll not get the 9 point here, because you need to use the loop to repeat your code 9 times or 5 times, whatever you specified. So make sure you use different types of loops. So I'll be discussing the loops in a minute. So in this week, you will be learning the loops. And as always, you need to write the doc string, whether it is specified. Yeah, you have to use the doc string on the specific location. Okay, so let me go to the, well, before going to the this week's assignment, I need to tell you about some of the syllabus things, that if you have seen the syllabus, it is specified here that respond to emails within 1 business days. I try to respond to you within the next business days, but sometimes you are emailing me on Saturday or Sunday or some weekday, the weekends or holidays. So I have specified here that if I am receiving an email after 12 p.m. on Friday, you will be responded by the noon on the following Monday. So though the deadline for each of the projects is Saturday, I have extended the deadline from Friday to Saturday so that you have ample of time to finish your project. But that doesn't mean that you are emailing me on the Saturday morning and expecting a response within next hour, or you are emailing me on the Saturday evening and expecting to receive an email within next couple of hours. And if you are not receiving those emails, you're just accusing me that, okay, you are not responding and the deadline, like due date and like due time is coming up. So this is not the case. You should have to be informed. I think you have already informed these things, that if you're emailing on weekends, you are not getting those emails back within the same day or the next day until it is the next working day. So be sure those things. And if I'm getting multiple emails with some reasons or some questions, I'll try to announce to the entire class. So if you're not responding anything, then check the announcement section. Maybe your answer should be there. Okay. Now, let me go to the syllabus. I'm sorry, not the syllabus, the assignment section. So in this week, we'll be learning for loop, while loop, nested loop, some list operations. And at the end of this week, you have to submit the turtle project. So let me go to the canvas. So it is more easier to show those things. They are not exactly aligned with the Codio. So as always, you need to complete your assignment from the canvas, not going to the Codio first. So we're done with the week 3. In the week 4, everything is done on June 3rd, and the project is due on June 4th. So let's go with the for loop first. So basically, there are 3 types of loop, but in Python, we'll be using 2 types of loops. One is the for loop, another is the while loop. So what's the purpose of writing a loop? Sometimes you need to repeat your code again and again. So it is better to not write those lines again and again. For example, you need to repeat one line in like 1,000 times. So is that okay to write those hello maybe 1,000 times? This is not the right way to write the code. It's better to use some looping so that it can reduce some code, reduce some complexity. For example, you are writing 1,000 times hello, maybe you missed 1 or 2. You need to count those things again and again, but in a for loop, you don't need to count those things. Okay. So how you can write a for loop is very easy. Just the for is the keyword, and there's some loop variable like I. You can write anything here. Then some operator in, and then there is a function called range function. If you're writing anything inside the range, so range function has 3 parameters actually. If you search for the range function, so I'm just going. So the range function has 3 parameters: stop, end, and step. That means you have to specify the start point, then the stop point, and how you're going to there. Maybe you're incrementing or decrementing. So stop one is the mandatory one or the required one, but for the start and step, they are not required. They have some default value. For the start, the default value is 0. For the step, the default value is 1. So if you're not writing anything for the start and step, just the stop, then it will go from 0 to that stop and stepping with 1. So for our case here, we're adding range 5. That means the default start point is 0 and the step point is 1. So it will start from 0 and incrementing with 1 at a time, and then it reaches till 5, not till 5 actually. 5 is not included. 5, that means starting from 0 and ending with 5 minus 1, like 4. That's because 5 is exclusive. So if you're writing this line for I in range 5, that means this line will, like the hello, will print 5 times. Now, but I will show you how it is starting from 0. Basically, though it is starting from the 0, but it is the 5 count: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is the 5 times. But in case of indexing, index start from 0. I'll show you in a minute. Okay. Well, here's you can find the turtle things. So you need to use the import turtle and import and the turtle main loop. It's looping again and again. So to write your to write turtle things in your project, you need to use any of those command or from these turtle library. So you need maybe you can use some or all. It depends on your design. Maybe you're going to write something that is going forward, maybe going backward. It's up to you. Here's a code. So I'm not going details. So you can see here the range 0, 10, 2. That means the I value starting from 0, ending not 10, 10 minus 1 at least, and stepping with 2. So initially, I value is 0, as we're starting with 0. Then it goes here, increment by 2, then print here, I value is 2, then 4, then 6, then 8. When it goes to 10, 10 is not inclusive, so it will not print 10. So it will print 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, not the 10. Okay. The second type of loop is the while loop. So what's the difference between the while loop and the for loop? For loop is called like the predetermined loop or definite loop. We know that how many times we need to iterate. But in a while loop, that while loop runs as long as a condition is satisfying. And you must declare a counting variable or the loop variable, whatever it is. But in case of a for loop, you don't need to declare it. It can be declared automatically. You must increment the counting variable or maybe decrement those variables depending on your situation. But in the for loop, that is already incremented or decremented in the for body. So you can see here, this is the simple while loop. We have written a loop variable count. As I told you, you need to declare the variable before the while loop. And then this is the condition. Until the condition is satisfying, it is doing again and again. And you need to control this loop variable. So here, the loop variable is 0. 0 is less than 5, true. Then it prints here. Then we're incrementing the count variable to 1. So right now it is 1. 1 is less than 5, true. Print this line. Now the count variable is 2, 1 plus 1. 2 is less than 5, true. Printing this one. Then 3, satisfying, printing. 4, satisfying, printing. But when it is 5, 5 is less than 5. No, it is not true. That means it is false. It breaks this loop. So we are exiting from the while loop. That means it will print 5 times. It's the same thing as we have done for the for loop. But there are two different structures. But both are doing the same thing. And make sure you can use these things, both for and while cases. And whatever you are writing inside a for loop or while loop, that should be indented. There is a term called infinite loop. What is an infinite loop? That means if you don't have any condition, it will run again and again and again and again. So for example, this one, count variable is 0. 0 is less than 5, true, print hello. Again, it goes here, 0 is less than 5, true, print hello. So it will print hello again and again until the end of the world. It's because we are not controlling this count loop. Every time it is true. Or you can just write while true. And then these things, then it will be working as the same. So make sure you are not writing any code that encounters any infinite loop. Infinite loop will spoil your code and you cannot stop anything from there. It will never stop. So you need to stop it. Okay. This is the same turtle project or turtle thing. You can write your turtle things using a while loop. So infinite loop, sometimes you need to write some infinite loop, like for example, while true, but you have to have some condition to stop. Otherwise, it will go again and again. So even if you're writing here an infinite loop, you can specify here some condition. Okay, if this value is 75, like greater than 75, you're going to stop this looping. So the break is a statement. You can write a break statement to break from the while loop. That means, so since it's the random number and it is generating some random value from 1 to 101, it could be anything less than 75 or greater than 75. So you are just expecting from the random function to generate some value. And whenever it is greater than 75, then using this break condition, you can stopping this looping and it breaks from this while loop. So even if you're writing some infinite loop, you have to have some condition so that it can break from that infinite loop. Okay. And here's some variation. Now the third one is the nested loop. Nested loop is like loop inside a loop. So for an example, here we have a for loop. And since we are writing colon, this is the first indentation. That means we're writing something inside this for loop. And again, we're writing another loop. And then indentation, then the print. So you can see here, this print is under this inside for loop, not the outside for loop. But in a sense, like inside for loop, like inside for loop is a part of the outside for loop. So in that case, this print is a part of the outside loop. But you need to be very careful using those nested for loops. That means right now we have just writing 10 and 10, like a matrix with row and column. So it will print some hashes 10 times, then end those hashes, then print a new line character, and then again printing those 10 hashes in one single line, and then again is doing again and again 10 times, like 10 hashes in one row, and there are 10 rows. But what happened if we are writing something here, okay, 10 and 5. That means there are 5 columns and 10 rows, right? So what happened for each row, it is counting, like it is looping 5 times here. That means for one time it is doing 5 times. Then next time it is doing 5 times, so on and so forth. That means for 10 times, for each time, it is looping 5 times here. So you need to be very careful while writing some nested loop, how it works. Okay, what else? Then we'll be discussing about the list. List is a spatial type of data structure. Normally in Python, we often use these things. That's why they have made these type of data structure as a built-in data structure. We will be using those things very often. So one thing you need to be so you need to be very careful about using a list and an array. I think you have already heard the term array. Array and list are same in a sense, but they are different with their structure. The structure is like, in case of an array, each of the element are same type. Like if they are integer, all of them are integer. If they are float, all of them are float. If they are string type, all of them are string type. Like it is called like homogeneous type. But in case of a list, it doesn't necessarily be a same type of data. Like it could be a combination of a float, a string, some Boolean value, and some integer value. But normally while we're using list, we'll be using same type of data, but it is not necessary. But in case of an array, you cannot write these type of things in an array. Well, in a list, as I have told, they are heterogeneous data structure. We can write various types of data, float, string, Boolean, or integer. We can populate a list using a for loop that we have already written. So this is the for loop for I in range 1 to 51. That means starting is 1, ending with 51. So 51 is not inclusive. That means it will print from 1 to 50. And what we're doing here, we're creating a list with the third bracket, and each of the I will print here. So we can populate from 1 to 50 in a list using this list comprehension. This is called a list comprehension. So you'll be learning those things later in detail, how to write a list comprehension. So this will, let me try it. No. So it will print like this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 50. So if you like to generate a list like that, this code will do those things. Okay. And as I told you that the list and a for loop starting with 0 is because those are the indexes. So here you can see we have written some element in a list. Those are the values or elements, and these are the index. So index start from 0 and going all the way to the last one. So there are 9 elements. You can see here how we know that there are 9 elements. So the last index is 8. So we can increment 8 plus 1 is because there are 0th index here. So there are 9 elements. So if you're writing length of this list, it will give you 9, but index are starting from 0 to 8. So how you can access a list value, for example, this list, there are like 4 elements, 5, 10, 15, 20. If you're writing list 0, it will print to the first one. That's because this is the 0th index. So you are printing the 0th index value. If you like to, so if I'm telling you, give me the third value. So this is the third value, but the index is 2. So you need to write my list 2. Then you will get this third value. You can modify a list here. So there are like 3 lists, like the 3 elements in a list 1 to 3. We're just changing it to 4, 5, 6. So on the first element, we're changing 1 to 4 for the second, but index is 1, 2 to 5, then 3 to 6. So if you print this list, it will print you 4, 5, 6 instead of 1 to 3. Okay. Now there are some operators in a list. You can use those operations. One of them is like the plus operator. It can be called as a concatenation operator. If you need to add 2 lists, you can just write list 1 plus list 2. It will concatenate. So you will get another list which has 6 elements and starting with 1, 2, 3 and followed by 4, 5, 6. So this is the concatenation operator. Then another one is the multiplication, or we can call it list repetition. So if you need to write this string multiple times, you can write, okay, list 1 multiply 4. That means you're getting another list which has high 4 times, like this way. The first one is high, and again the second one is high, and 4 times. So it could be in uppercase with H. So you can repeat same amount, so same thing multiple times, like this. Then you have already heard the term in. We have used the in the for loop. So what happened in the for loop? So in case of writing a range function here, the range function here. I'm writing 0 to 5, stepping with 1. So what happened here? This range function will create a list starting with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, not the 5. And then we're writing, okay, for I in range 0, 5, 1. So what happened here? This in function, so this range function will create this one, right? So we're just iterating each of the element using the for keyword. So I value starting with 0 and going all the way to the 4. This is how it works in the range function. And in is checking each value at a time from the list. So here we are using the same thing in operator. So for example, this is our list. We're not writing in for loop, we're just writing, okay, if something inside this list, we can write, okay, if is the red in this list, it will give you a true or false, like a Boolean result. It returns a Boolean value, true or false. So if the red is there, it returns true. If you're writing a capital R, then it is going to match exactly, and there is no capital R red, so it will return false. So in operator will just return a true or false depending on the presence in the list. It's the most important operator. Then the len function is the Python built-in function. If you're writing len and inside the len function writing any list, it will return you the number of elements. So I have already told you that index starting from 0. So if we're writing here something like, okay, some value 10, 20, 30, and 40, the index is starting from 0, 1, 2, and 3. But if you're writing len function, it will return the number of element of a list. So though the index star ends at 3, but the len function will return the count at the 4. Okay. Then the slicing operator. Slicing operator, you can slice a string. So here you can see my list 0, 2. That means the start one is including, but the end one is not including. That means it will, so here is our list, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm writing, okay, this is the list L1. And I'm writing L1, third bracket, 2, 1, 2, 4. So it will give you a slice of that list. So starting with 1, that means this is 0, 1 is this one. So it will give you 2. Then the next one, 3. So I would like to write the index as well here. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. So I'm writing here 1, 4. That means 1 is 2, 4 is 5. But 5, the last one is exclusive. That means it is not inclusive here. So it will print the last element before that point. So it will print 2, 3, 2, 1, 3 is index 2, then 3 index is 4. So these are the values, these are the index. These are the index. And these are the values. So since I'm writing 1, 4, so 4 is here. So we're not writing 5 here. 5 is not inclusive. Okay, what else? I think we're done. So I hope you will finish those things within this week and finish the project as well. And to know more about the project details, you can go through those URLs that is already provided in the description section. And I have also provided two different URLs in the announcement section. So I hope that will be helpful for you. See you in next week. I will upload another video in next week. Thank you very much.